Hello crafty friends, it's Alicia of the Call Me Crafty YouTube channel, and today I am back to make 2 shaker cards as alternatives for the June 2019 paper pumpkin kit. I hope you will stick around, see what I make, and listen for that secret word so you can be entered to win one of the 4 kits I'm giving away at the end of the month. Thank you so much for stopping by today. I'm so excited to get in here and make some shaker cards because I'm not going to use the regular sequins or glitter. I'm going to be using sand in my shakers. I thought that went perfectly with this beach theme. Now my sand, I had to buy at Michael's. I used a coupon and I got it for less than $3. But if your Dollar Tree has natural colored sand, you could buy it there. All my Dollar Tree had was colors though, so I skipped that and went to Michael's. So the other day on my channel, I shared the video where I made these 4 cards that were basically like the designs that Stampin' Up! Gave for this month, but I put them on clear card bases. I will link this video below, and the playlist for all of my June 2019 alternatives will be linked at the end of this video, so I hope you'll go check those out. In today's video, I'm going to be making 2 shaker cards with sand. They're just slightly different in how I go about preparing them. But before we get started, I want to remind you again about the giveaway that I have going on. I am celebrating my 5,000th subscriber by giving away 4 one-month Paper Pumpkin subscriptions. Now, if you already get Paper Pumpkin, no worries. You can just add this on to the end of what you've already paid for. So make sure to watch the announcement video for the basics, and I will link that below. And I'll go ahead and pop it in the upper right-hand corner now. So after you watch this video, make sure to go watch that, and it tells you what you need to be listening for or looking for during my alternative videos this month. Good luck to all of those who are going to enter. I think it's time to get started. I will start a voiceover from here on out, so if I don't answer a question you have in that, make sure to drop me a comment below and I'll get back to you just as soon as I can. Thanks! Pieces that I will be using from the kit are 2 stamps. The one says Just a Little Smile and the other is the dotted or the textured background. For my sentiment, I will be using the wood grain tag, and then for some embellishments, I'm using the 2 sand dollars, the 2 sea stars, the little green leaf, and the vellum piece that I don't know what that is for sure. Why don't you tell me below? And for the focal point, I will be using the card from the kit that has kind of the beach and the water on it. For the non-kit items, I have a crumb cake card base I will be using. I will also be using this Polaroid die. I think it might be a My Favorite Things. I got out a scrap of white to cut that from, and then a piece of clear cardstock for my shaker window. Now I did realize later that I got out some other supplies, so I will let you know what those are when I use them. To get the card started, I die cut the Polaroid frame. Once I had that die cut and up against the crumb cake, I decided that it needed a little something else or a little texture. So I pulled out my Cuttlebug Dots embossing folder and I thought that looked much better. Now I'm going to start putting together the shaker window. So I put some adhesive around the window and my clear cardstock on the back of that. Now I have a lot of people ask me where I get my clear cardstock from. I have actually linked it below in my Amazon store, so if you want to go check it out and get some for yourself. Speaking of needing texture, I decided that my crumb cake card base needed some as well. So I got out kind of the dotted stamp from the set, and then I used Versamark ink and just made a border around the outside edge. Usually when I create a shaker window, you see me use my big roll of foam tape. Well, I've had a lot of people ask me where I got this from, and unfortunately, the source I got it from is no longer available. So I decided to try a product from Amazon to see if I should put it in my Amazon store for you. So I'm going to use this today, and then I'll let you know the verdict later whether or not it will be in my store. To get my shaker window started, I put some of the new foam tape around the opening in my Polaroid, and I had to make sure that I really got everything sealed up good because the sand is pretty fine, so I don't want it to fall through any cracks. Speaking of sand, it was time to fill my shaker, so I put in one of the stars and one of the sand dollars and then a couple spoonfuls of the sand. This was when I realized my opening was a little bit taller than the image on my card. So what I had to do, I just grabbed a scrap of the Coastal Cabana cardstock and I put that on the back behind my pretty piece, just so the opening at the top, if you did see anything, it was just more Coastal Cabana. Like Tim Gunn always says, make it work, people. Once that was all put together, I cut off the excess, and I have to say I really love the sand in this frame. This month's paper pumpkin kit came with a Coastal Cabana ink spot. This is actually the only ink that I own in full size from Stampin' Up, so I went ahead and grabbed that out and then stamped the sentiment, "Just a little smile," onto the tag. Now it was time to figure out where exactly I wanted everything on my card front and get it all adhered together. Now, one thing I forgot to mention earlier is I did grab a piece of twine that came from the paper pumpkin kit, and I made a little twine nest on the back of the stamped sentiment label with that. Next, I used the glue dots that came with the kit, and luckily they sent tons of extra to put on all my leaves and my sand dollars. Once I adhered the sentiment and everything else, my card was all finished. And now it is time to start the second card. For my supplies, I put the sand dollar, the sea star, and that other thing onto one stamp block. I will be making a background out of that. I also grabbed out the speckled stamp, but I didn't end up using that in the end. And then for my sentiment, I grabbed the "You Made My Day" special stamp. For the papers and the focal point, I got out the envelope with the wood grain background and I tore that apart. I also got out the palm tree that had the sand at the bottom, along with some of the embellishments, the little cutouts for the card. On my sentiment, I will be stamping that onto the wood grain label again. And then finally, I chose the card that had just the water background and the sky. Once again, I'll be using my Coastal Cabana Stampin' Pad and the Versamark ink. Now, my non-kit pieces start with my Hero Arts Infinity dies. And let me tell you, these things are wonderful. They are perfectly proportioned to give you lots of different mats on a standard A2 card. I actually do have these in my Amazon store because I do love them and recommend them. So if you want to consider using my link, I have linked this product below. Oops, I almost forgot I will be using twine from the kit. My card base is Coastal Cabana, and then I have a scrap of crumb cake and Coastal Cabana. Not sure if I'll use those. I also got out another piece of clear cardstock for my shaker window. Just like with my first card, I'm going to start by stamping a background with Versamark ink on the card front. I love how Versamark just takes the color of the card base and just makes a subtle pattern in it, or a subtle difference. This is also another product I highly recommend. I do love to use it, so it is also linked below if you want to go check it out. While I am stamping the sentiment on the sentiment tag, I thought I would take this time to let you know the secret word of the day. Now, please do not forget, do not try to point this out in any comments by either stating it clearly or capitalizing the word. I have actually deleted some comments that do that, and those people have been disqualified. This was mentioned in the original announcement video, so thank you for your understanding. The word for today is shaker. And now it is time to make my shaker. What I'm going to do, I only put adhesive on the very bottom where the sand is on the palm trees. And then I'm going to place my die where I think a window would look nice there. I am using my Scotch removable tape for this to hold that in place. And I put the die behind the palm tree because I don't want the tree to get cut. And I am going to make sure to keep the part that got cut out because that will end up being the background of my shaker later. I pulled back out the glue dots and I adhered the palm tree now at the top just so it wouldn't get broken off the card later. Once that was all done, I started getting my background ready, and since that ocean has to go in a very specific place on my mat, you'll see me here bring back in my Scotch removable tape, and then I'm going to use some of those glue dots on the back of the piece that will go on the crumb cake, and that way when I have it placed on the crumb cake piece, that tape, because it's so just lightly tacky, I can just pull away the front and leave that exactly where I need it to be. Now I am pulling back out the foam tape that I mentioned earlier. I have to say, after using it, I would not buy it. So I will not have this in my Amazon store. It tears too easily for me, which might be a good thing if you want a foam tape that tears. And also it just wants to stick to my fingers more than anything and stick to my scissors. So I will keep looking for an alternative, and I'll let you know as soon as I have found one that I would recommend. Once all the foam tape was on, it was time to start filling the shaker. I put 2 sea stars in my opening, as well as a small spoonful of sand, since this is a smaller shaker. Then I carefully placed my palm tree piece on the top of that. Now it was time to start putting my card together. I wasn't really sure what it would look like in the end, but I did go ahead and cut the wood grain piece from this envelope, and then you'll see I kind of played around with the orientation of the mats before deciding on the final layout of the card. Once I had the layout like I wanted it, I started adhering everything together. I used a mixture of glue dots and my ATG gun and some dimensionals. Now when I adhered the sentiment tag to the front of the card, I did end up having to use 2 layers of dimensionals because the foam tape was thicker. I have to say I love how these sand shakers turned out, and I want to do a little shout out to my mom, Gloria, for the suggestion. I really do love it. To finish off the card, I tied a bow with the Stampin' Up! Twine and adhered that with a glue dot to the front of the focal point. I hope you liked seeing how I made these 2 alternatives. As always, if you did, I appreciate a thumbs up. If you're new to my channel and you would also like to be entered into the giveaway, make sure to hit subscribe below and maybe even click on the bell for notifications. To all my regular viewers and subscribers, thanks again for stopping back by. Until my next video, I hope you're all having a crafty day. Bye-bye.